Let's go.
All right, so we do all of this, right? Adults, kids, students, doesn't matter. We all want to believe that we can keep parts of our lives divided up. Want to know another area of life where we do this? Faith. So often people think they can keep their faith and their day-to-day lives separated. They'll show up on Sundays or go to church camp and sing the songs and talk about Jesus, but then they leave and go to school or work or practice and act like a totally different person. I mean, you've seen people like that, right? It can be really tempting for all of us to assume that we can keep our lives separate from our faith. And this can be especially true when it comes to the things we consume, like what we watch or what we listen to or the games we play. But as Matt talked about last week, whatever is rattling around in our hearts will eventually come out. It's jealousy, anger, pride, insecurity, whatever it is, eventually it's going to impact the way we act. And how does something get put in our hearts in the first place? Easy. We put it there. By what we watch, what we listen to, what we read, what we think about. We're going to talk more about that one next week, okay? But it all impacts our hearts and our faith. Let me share with you a verse from Scripture that talks about this very thing. I mean, we talked about this guy back in December, but there's a doctor named Luke. You guys remember him? He lived about the same time as Jesus. And he wasn't one of Jesus' followers while Jesus was alive, but he had a friend who wanted to know more about the Christian faith. So Luke set out to create a very thorough, carefully vetted account of Jesus' life and resurrection. And if you're naturally a more skeptical person, and you're just not sure what to think about this whole faith and Jesus thing, I would definitely recommend reading Luke's account of Jesus in the Bible because he approaches it from such an analytical perspective. I think you might find it fascinating. So here's what Jesus said in chapter 11, verse 34 of Luke's account. Your eye is the lamp of your body. When your eyes are good, your whole body also is full of light. But when they are bad, your body also is full of darkness. See to it then that the light within you is not darkness. Therefore, if your whole body is full of light and no part of it dark, it will be completely lighted as when the light of a lamp shines on you. Hang with me, because that might have seemed a little confusing. Like the analogy of a lamp is used a few times in Scripture, and it can be confusing as to which one is which. So here, the lamp is illuminating what is inside the body. So Jesus is saying that whatever we look at as the source of light for our internal selves, it will influence the way that we see the world and then everyone in it, including ourselves. I mean, think of it like glasses. Have you ever seen someone wearing sunglasses at night? I mean, you can't help but think, like, what the heck are they doing? You can't see anything. When we choose to watch or read or listen to things that don't align with God's values, it's like wearing a pair of sunglasses at night. You can't see well, and you're probably going to bump into some stuff, and you might even hurt yourself. I mean, think about regular glasses now. Someone who can't see well puts on their glasses and suddenly they can see more clearly than before. And when we choose to watch, read, and listen to things that point us in the right direction, we can see better. We can better see what the wise choice is, how to avoid things that might hurt us or others, and how to have a better life. We've all tried to separate what we look at or listen to from our spiritual health. We think it won't matter if we watch that horror movie, but then we feel all anxious and nervous inside. Or you might not think it matters if you watch 3 hours of makeup tutorials, but then you stand in front of your own mirror and you feel really dissatisfied with how you look. Or maybe you watch sports nonstop and sooner or later you start thinking that winning is the only way to get a sense of worth. We just finished the Christmas season a few weeks ago, and maybe you spent a whole weekend watching Hallmark Christmas movies only to find yourself feeling like needed to be in a relationship to feel good about yourself. What you look at changes the way you look at other things. So what are you looking at and listening to that's changing you? What about your video games? What apps and websites are you looking at all the time? What music or podcasts are you listening to? If what you look at changes you, how are the things you're watching or listening to changing you? Is it for the better? I'm not going to stand here and make blanket statements like, no one should play that Call of Duty game or Minecraft or all makeup tutorials are bad. You guys are old enough to start making those decisions yourself. But what I am saying is you need to start thinking about how what you look at changes you. So is there anything that you need to change? Are there any habits you need to break? Are there any sources you need to cut out of your life? Or maybe you just need to cut that video game habit down just a little bit. Or perhaps you need to reset your YouTube algorithm so you aren't seeing the same junk all the time. What you look at changes you. So is there anything you need to change? You guys are going to have the rest of the time to talk about this more with your small group. And I want you to start with this question right here. Do you feel better or worse when you get done watching or listening to some of your favorite media? Do you watch your favorite TV show and feel better when it's over? Happier, energized, more positive about the people in your life? Or do you feel sluggish and irritable or negative toward yourself or others? Do you play your favorite video game, get done, and then feel better? Or do you feel tired and aggressive or egotistical? Do you listen to your favorite true crime podcast, get done, and feel content? Or do you feel anxious and on edge? What you look at changes you. So is there anything you need to change? Talk about that with your group. And I hope you'll be back for the next week and part 3 of Bless Your Heart.